This is Fred Barstein, 401k TV here in Las Vegas at the NIPA annual conference. NIPA is the National Institute of Pension Administrators. And I'm here with Claudia St. John. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you so much.
So Claudia is the president of Affinity HR Group, which is NAPA's endorsed HR provider and resource. Affinity is a national HR consulting firm focused on recruiting, compliance, HR support, employee engagement, and workforce development, and an author of an Amazon.com best-selling book about transforming teams. So, okay if we ask you a few questions?
Absolutely, thank you.
So we thought, Claudia, given your experience as an HR professional for many years, and also having this insight into TPAs, if you were going about hiring a TPA, what would you be looking for?
You know, it's really interesting. As an HR person looking at TPAs, you don't know certain things. You know, it's sort of, we're not embedded in that world, so we don't know what a good TPA versus a bad TPA is. So I think just from working with NIPA and many of the TPAs in this industry, if I were to advise an HR consultant or a plan administrator, an HR person,
yes,
which usually is the place for that interaction, I think there are three broad categories. The first are the qualifications, and by qualifications I would say, are the people that are administering your plan, are they certified? Do they have industry certification? Do we have the gold standard of expertise that has been validated through some certification board? And I know that NIPA does a lot of certification. I know that there are others as well. But is there some sort of validated technical expertise of the people that are working on your plan? The second is, I would be very concerned about how they're keeping abreast of tax law. Obviously, the tax law has been changed so significantly. How are plan administrators being advised on what the tax implications are of that?
And how would a plan sponsor know that?
I would just ask them, how are they keeping apprised? What is your process? Who's advising you? Where are you getting your best information? And how have you changed? What are things that you've changed over the past year? Now, of course, I wouldn't know whether those are right or wrong, but the way that they answer would be a big indicator to me that they've done the due diligence to keep apprised of those challenges and of those changes. Another one that, you know, I hadn't really thought about until I started working in this industry is, have they been audited? Have their plans been audited by the IRS, by the Department of Labor, and have they had to make changes? Did they get it right? How often did they get it right? And any TPA should be able to provide you with at least that basis of information. So sure. I think that's sort of where I would start on the qualifications bucket. And
then you said we talked about the cultural fit.
Absolutely. So I'm from New York, and I know that when I'm talking to somebody from Omaha, I might come across as a very different type of personality than they're used to. Sensibilities, sensitivities. And I think that's one reason why so many organizations look to local TPAs, because you want to know that you have a shared form of communication. You'll get along. You'll be able to relate to one another. You'll be able to relate to the employees within each organization. And so I think that sort of cultural similarity, cultural fit helps with the communication in this type of arena.
Also, maybe working with companies like yours.
Absolutely.
Size or type or
absolutely
demographic.
Absolutely. Do they work with? Do they play in the same sandbox with other people that are like you as a company? Do they know the issues that you as an organization would be going through?
And I know that ERISA is overwhelming, but you know, it all does come down to common sense. So when you hire a TPA, it's also, are you comfortable with that person?
Absolutely. Am I going to like talking to you? I'm going to have to talk to you a lot. Do I like that? Do I like you? And if I don't, I'm probably not going to want to have those conversations, and I'm probably not going to enjoy those conversations. Should they be critical? Should they be challenging? Should they be over issues that might be sensitive in terms of certain issues? So,
and make sure you're talking not just to the principal, but who are you going to work with?
Who are the people that you're working with? Exactly. You don't want, you know, somebody's going to sell you that program, but who's actually working with you, and can you relate to them? Are they responsive? Are you know, do you get along well? I think the last area that I would look for is transparency. I want to know about transparency of fees. I want to know upfront what things are going to cost, how they're going to cost me over time. I want to know about that type of transparency. I also want to know how do they relate to benefit administrator advisors, financial advisors. How closely linked are they to these financial institutions? I want to know that. That's going to be important for me to know how objective my TPA can be. And then I think the last thing is, I always like to see a good, healthy E&O insurance policy, because inevitably things happen. People do make mistakes. I mean, we always hope it never will, but it does. And do they carry a sufficient level of coverage to make sure that we're protected in the event of a mistake on their end?
Great. Well, thanks for your insights today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for watching 401k TV.